Mhm. Another day, another million sats.
Is it really? You got a million sats?
Oh, I don't know. Whatever sats are to you. Another
Yeah,
day, another cookbook dollar.
yeah. I don't know, dude. I think I've got some money on River still, and I think I'm earning Bitcoin interest on it, so that's kind of cool. I'm probably getting 1,000 sats, not a million, but
I've been
cool.
hanging tight, not doing a lot,
Yeah,
just sitting back and waiting for a little better timing as I just consolidate, reconcile what balance of dry powder I have where doing what.
yeah. Well, here I'm gonna share.
Excuse me. And it's
Well,
been
you,
smoky and hot around here. I'm just, I almost got sick today, like doing the cough drop things. Like, I'm not sick, but
you're
I'm
sick.
like feeling ragged, and it parallels feelings with like economic stuff that it's just sort of this tension of like what the hell's going on, and how deep do we dig into war, and
War? There's a war?
there's a war. The
Really?
endless war, the new endless war,
Oh,
apparently.
well. I mean, it's just a continuation of the endless war, isn't it? Hey, will you put
But
my
now
screen up?
instead of eye for an eye, it's head for an eye.
Yeah.
And by God, we're just gonna do whatever. So take that.
What a strategic fucking blunder of the orange one. Like, you just look and you go, fuck, dude. Like, why would you do that? Hey, would you put my screen up real quick?
Oh yeah, yeah. And then yes, this. The
Yeah. So,
sentiment.
I love the pump.fun here, right? Like, everyone's going, yay, Bitcoin's back. I'm like, are you sure about that? But the interesting thing on the screen is actually this little snippet, which doesn't open if you fucking click on it. But Mara CEO says Bitcoin's payments use case has seen its day go by as miners chase AI money.
Uh,
Meanwhile, price is going. Wah, wah. So we are bouncing here, but I would point out this is a support line right there, right?
hmm.
This is resistance on the way up, it's support on the way down, and we've already broken support. There's a crypto guy, Kyle Dupes. He was a trader. He's a shitcoiner, but whatever. He's a neat guy. He seems like a decent guy. He's also primarily a Bitcoin dude, but he still shitcoins. But he says when you see a floor like this, you can think of it like a sheet of ice. It's something bounce, bounce. Sooner or later, it's going to break through. Is his little core thesis. So I don't know how much stock I put in that, but we seem to be tink tink bloop. I don't know. I
So
mean, like I want to see lower prices. I'd love juicy low price sats, but I don't know.
you got a you got a time preference that doesn't collide with being early.
Yeah, at all, at all.
See,
Yeah,
a lot of people do. And I think that's what we see in the weariness and the, like we were talking about Michael Sullivan's writings about just language and sentiment and how people are describing things. And there's a lot of people that, in terms of their excitement or motivation or FUD, there's a lot of people that even have been in Bitcoin for a while, but they're kind of tired, or they're just kind of getting quiet, or they're just riding it going, what the fuck?
this is
And
every single bear market, dude. This is
yeah,
this is every single bear market. The exact same thing happens. It's we'll come back to Sullivan's thing, which I thought was actually pretty good. But if you look at the way sentiment runs in Bitcoin, even the hardcore guys get a little like dull. Like BitPain just put up a post today, I think, where he's like, there must be some fucking asshole out there who's just got like a massive sell order at 64K. Like as soon as it hits, they're just like sell, because he posted a picture of the price at like 63.9 or something. I'm like, yeah, probably. I don't know, dude. Like, um, who knows, right? Like there are people that are underwater right now, right? There are top buyers that are underwater right now, and as soon as they go, we got a little pump. Is it going to keep going? Oh, it's not going to go. Fuck that. I'm out of here. Like it's very normal, like spot holder behavior and spot trader behavior. Most of the leverage is fucking wiped out right now, right? Like those guys got all their dicks handed to them. And anybody lever trading right now is just a fucking baboon. So, you know, like if you see something crabbing sideways and you go, yeah, I'm going to go 10x leverage, it's like, have fun getting
Roll
fucking
the
wrecked,
dice,
dude.
flip a coin,
Yeah.
and then
But,
how much time you got?
right. Because if it crabs sideways for the next 3 months and you're just sitting there watching your fucking account bleed because of the fucking daily fees, it's just like from holding a position open, it's like sooner or later you got to close that position, right? So it's just, so right now it's just like, you know, which traces us back to Sullivan's article. It wasn't really about trader sentiment or holder sentiment, but it was more about like the BIP 110 sentiment and how those guys are looking. But I don't know. What do you think of that?
110.
Did you actually read his article?
Yeah, I was just, and he's had a few. I mean, he writes a lot, but his Substack. Let's see, where was? Well, I don't want to.
Hey, there's Smith Beardo.
Mechanic crashed on him, which, I mean, I respect Sullivan for. He's a
super nice guy, dude.
He's not trying to spark controversy, like he says. He's pointing out research he's doing and what he's seen in data.
How dare you? How dare you point something out? How dare you?
So Sullivan's point, I'm not stating an opinion here. I'm saying Sullivan's point is BIP 110 supporters are broadly getting angrier and more disapproving the further.
How can you say that, Fritz? Why would you ever say something like that? That's ridiculous.
I didn't say it. Michael said it.
Liar.
More hedging language compared to those who are anti-BIP 110. And that group I see also getting more convicted.
That guy's face off the screen, dude. It just drives me crazy.
Higher rates of BIP 110 content by the algorithm, so that basically there's these silos in people's information feed and then what they kind of believe is going on here. And I guess what they think would happen on or after August 7th, August 8th. And then that's where we touched on it last week, where like, okay, into August and beyond, which way, Western chain? Where did you, if you put all this work into Bitcoin, time and energy and your wealth or your treasury and all these things, and then the chain does something you either, I don't know, maybe you either didn't expect it or you kind of wished it was different, but
you might wish you were sitting in cash after this all goes down. So.
But yeah, you have to make a decision, I guess.
Now,
I don't. Well, so for folks that are this convicted on it, you'd have to make like, okay, it's decision time, and it might be a decision you think you're compromising your integrity about things or whatever. But excitement's wonky. I think BIP 110 folks getting less excited the closer we get to activation date. I think the energy and the sentiment is, I mean, you're hearing BIP 110, BIP 110, BIP 110, and I can't believe we're talking about it this much. But
well, that's why it keeps showing up, is because people like us keep fucking yapping about it. But yeah, but anyway.
Well, so I think of like Chris Seedor and some others that are just hard on these more strongly AI'd memes. And
some of the memes are fucking hilarious, dude.
Oh my God.
Did you see the one, like, I don't know if you've seen the core video. There's like
the golf cart.
Yeah. The two girls were riding in the front. And there's a couple people in the back and just like watching the whole crash. But like the way like AI is getting so good now that those like those little human replacement things are just like nearly seamless.
Oh God. Well, we're gonna
but that's the problem. It's like I've hung out with Justin Beckler in Prague. He's a fucking awesome guy. He's really cool. I really like hanging out and talking with him and stuff. And just to see like people that I know in person and have talked to in person and like in person are like on opposite sides of this fence. It's like it's weird being in the middle of this Civil War kind of thing where it's like, oh Jesus.
He's just pumping out the memes.
Oh dude, well he's like a meme expert, right? But
he's got the AI going. Where's that golf cart one? He's just so busy.
Yeah, it's
anyway.
Yeah,
It was it
I
that
wish
deep
I
in
had
his
like
feed?
a quarter of this guy's talent to put out.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's oh man. Um,
So fucking. That shit
and
is so funny.
as I mean, these are people that going back, these are people who helped orange pill me and formulated some of my early opinions about things in Bitcoin. And then from which I kept learning and kept listening and evaluating their positions. And I don't I personally I don't dislike them. I think they have their views on it. They're strongly convicted. Their passion is for reasons. I just think that what what do you do when chain splits and you're just at that point evaluating kind of economic weight or economic future? You have to make a hard decision. So like you let's just say you were right, but that's just not where the hashing went.
Well,
So
dude, like
what then, I guess?
the weird thing is like people, if you watch the argumentative style of one side versus the other, like one side is literally just, and people have pointed this out sort of endlessly. It's like you end up in these really circular arguments about like, well, it's not for spam. Okay, so it doesn't stop spam. Well, we want to fight spam, but we should make it harder. Okay, so but it doesn't make it harder. Yeah, but it's never been about spam. It's about the signal. So it's just virtue signaling. No, no, no. We're trying to stop spam. Well, wait, but you said it doesn't stop spam. Well, it doesn't stop spam, but we're trying to send a message. But isn't that just virtue? So it's just round and round you go. And you can't, if you're talking to someone with circular logic, you can't, there's nothing to push against, right? Because they're always just going to, and like even Lynn Alden, like her little thing, little thing. I mean, she wrote a thoughtful post, and just said, "Here's reasons," right? And the first thing you see is like, "Oh, I guess they got to you too, Lynn. Now you're compromised." I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ! Is like everybody that disagrees with you is compromised. It's like, do you not see the problem with that? Framing or rationale. And then they go, well, she's part of this thing, and obviously they're compromised because of Epstein. It's just like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Like, do you have any idea like how buffoonish this sounds to someone who's actually thought about any of these things for more than fucking 10 minutes? But they don't, So anyway, your point was
Well,
about that, but
I felt like I bring up Bitcoin's Sentiment Weekly, Michael Sullivan's writings, and whether maybe you don't agree with his conclusions, but they're well written, and he is really just trying to look at the data and what the language being used out there is, where the sentiment is.
dude, this is a very, very, very common thing that people do on social media. This is very common research in social media circles.
Yeah.
Sentiment,
Yeah.
type of language. Google puts these kind of fucking reports out. Like they talk about like, look at how many people have done searches for this or searches for this. And it's like, there's nothing at all controversial about just looking at things and going, well, I noticed this trend and this trend. Like that's nothing. And so for someone to come out and go, fuck you, guy, thanks a lot for your useless fucking insights into fucking this and that and blah, blah, blah. Like that's going to fix the problem. And it's like, he's not trying to fix a fucking problem. He's reporting interesting information. I think it's interesting information, despite the underlying conflict. This is valid analysis, and it's good analysis. He did a good job. And he's
I like his writing style. Honestly, he's a good writer, and if nothing else, I learn from it. And like here, he's just talking about the 4-year cycle, and myself, it was kind of like, our cycle's over. I don't know. And then, well, no, maybe cycles are not over. But he looks at the sentiment and the language being used, and it's interesting psychology in a way, and also what data you can glean from anywhere. Yeah. And I find it very interesting and well written. So then, say you disagree with it, but I guess argue points, reasoning, or data, and not.
Well, there's nothing to argue with. That's the whole point. Like, excuse me, goodness gracious. If you want to bring some drama into this, you can't go like, well, the worst they could do is go selective data usage, right? Or, well, you might have considered some of these other factors in that data, but that's not interesting for Twitter. How do you get engagement on Twitter? You go, this guy's a fucking asshole. What a moron. What kind of a jackass would do this? Who cares? Thanks a lot, jackass. And the people that are watching that and engage with that, they're never going to go see the guy's actual research. They wouldn't even understand the research to begin with, or they just take a superficial glance at it and then assign whatever value their favorite influencer just put into their head, right? But there's zero thought going into any of this stuff. But if you actually just look at things objectively, you kind of go, yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah. You can see very clearly based on this data that the sentiment for the BIP 110 people is declining, and the bullishness for the people anti is appreciating. Like, these people are becoming less convicted. These people are becoming more convicted. It's
I'm
clear.
seeing it. I personally am seeing it.
Well, yeah, of course, dude, because we're getting closer to a thing that, people that have been paying attention have been saying is a nothing burger from the start. So it's just like, okay, wow, great. So you guys are now finally coming around to the idea like, oh, maybe I'm on the wrong fucking pony. So I don't know. It's like, whatever. But ultimately, it's like, who cares? Like, if a couple thousand people end up, doing, I don't even know what they're doing. I don't know how much economic conviction they have in this thing. I don't think there's a bunch of people on the BIP 110 side that are going to go dump all their fucking holdings. And, likely many of them are still third-party custodian anyway, so none of this will affect them. They go, I'm signaling my amount because I'm a no, blah, 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 blah. Like, well, where's your Bitcoin? Coinbase. It's like, okay, so you're just like holding big Bitcoin then, right? But I don't know.
I think even the Bitcoin way is recommending that you sit tight through this split and like don't take any immediate actions for a while. Just watch it. Which I could see, like, this is the first time I've ever seen anything like this. So it's sort of like, okay, if I was going to buy or sell, or I have my mechanisms and routes of how I do that, maybe I just sit tight and watch for a bit, and make sure like everything's simmered out right.
Like, you literally don't have to do anything. Just stay on the main chain. Like, it's fucking,
or stay on the main chain.
Just, I mean, like Start 9 guys have started putting out this thing like, just go ahead and flip the bit, just signal. It doesn't hurt you anything. If it looks like it's going to stall out, just switch the bit back. It doesn't matter. But signal right up until the last minute that you're for this. And I'm like, that doesn't sound like a good idea. But like, all you're going to do is like in terms of your node, you just go, well, my node's looking at the wrong thing. Right, I made a stand. Right. What stand did you make? Well, my node doesn't see the chain anymore. Oh, okay. So how did that help you? I made a stand. I showed that plebs matter. How? Like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, all you did was blind yourself to the rest of the fucking economic chain. It's like, okay.
Okay, so yeah, let's just say you take self-custody, you run a node, you're running knots, and you're signaling and running BIP 110. And you've gone all in, and that's your node, and that's where you interface with your Bitcoin. So if you're going to make a transaction, realize that it's super important what you're doing on your node at that point going forward with your time and energy and money, right?
The way I look at it is I go, that's a you problem, dude. Like, that's a fucking shooting yourself in the foot and then complaining about it, right? Like, you go, well, did you shoot yourself in the foot? Yeah. Are you upset about it? Yeah. Did anyone make you shoot yourself in the foot? No. Go fuck yourself. Like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, don't do that.
I have compassion for people that, I don't know. Dude,
if you're making
follow your convictions and now you find yourself going, yeah, okay,
fuck that. Follow your convictions. Like, if you like, I go, I'm convicted that, I'm convinced that, Blockbuster Video is going to make a fucking comeback because they've got a reorganization plan. I'm going all in on Blockbuster Video. It's like, it's not a good idea, dude. No. They got this thing, and we're gonna show big Netflix that this digital fucking thing isn't gonna work anymore. We're all in on fucking people renting VHS again. Just like,
well, let's just say the way they think about those kinds of topics are, I'm convicted that we need to separate money from state. I do too. I do too. Well, how do you represent that, and what you can do about it,
dude?
How do you do that?
A state. That is a state technology. That's not a fucking separate thing, dude. That's not even a viable idea.
Well, maybe the way we're saying the word money, but as a concept, as a naive concept,
right?
So we're going to separate money from state. How do I do that? Well, I'm going to use Bitcoin. Okay, now how do I do that? I'm going to I want Bitcoin to be the Bitcoin that it should be, to be the best that it could be in doing that. Yeah. But anyway, it goes down a track where you have conviction, and I wouldn't say you're bad for thinking that. I'd be like, I get it. I understand why you think and feel that, but you're interfacing with a system that is plodding along and doing that. Now you like this system. Now you'd like to have things change. Okay. You still got time and energy wrapped up on the blocks. So be aware of where your transactions go after August 7th, August 8th.
Well, that's kind of my point though, dude, is like, just let's unpack what you just said. So you have a naive belief in a thing you don't really understand, and then you're convinced that the fix to that thing is something you also don't understand. And then because based on this naive belief and convictions in things that aren't true, you are now going to make impactful economic decisions on your life. I go, well, there are plenty of people that do that. They're called cult members. Like they will go, oh yeah, I'm going to give up all my possessions to the Church of Scientology. I'm going to go live on this fucking boat and I'm going to be a slave laborer.
Or they will sign the Declaration of Independence.
But that is not even close to the same thing, because they had a reasonable basis for thinking what they're thinking. They had a rationale that was supportable by the evidence, right? They go, hey, we think, and based on evidence, not just based on vibes and
these truths that we listed for pages we hold to be self-evident.
But there's a decent factual grounding for someone to make that decision in that moment in time, right? Like you could look at the writings, contemporary writings of the time. You can think about people that are learned men that were thinking through a problem and go, is this a viable path for governance? Because we've seen parliamentary governance where it works and we see where parliamentary governance falls apart. We think parliamentary governance is a superior form to a sovereign head over parliamentary governance. That's better. And you go, is there a reasonable basis to make that assumption? You go, yeah, there's all kinds of books and literature at the time that says, hey, this might be a better way to do things. So, and then you're putting your life on the line for that. But I don't think they would just go like, hey man, like we think, yeah, we're vibing this, bro. Like, I don't understand government at all. I don't understand the difference between a constitutional republic and a monarchy, a parliamentary monarchy. So therefore I'm going to make some fucking decisions. Like it's completely different, dude. But like you said, and like if you're just vibing your way through life based on feels and no objective information to challenge your beliefs, then you're just like, you're going to get wrecked. Like it's impossible that you won't get wrecked if you're working through the world that way, because that's just a recipe for disaster. So
I think in a lot of ways we all do in our own kind of way. And it's easy to, if you see on one hand, it's like all of government almost everywhere. I was just lamenting about this with you earlier this week, where legitimately it's easy to look at, the higher you go up and the more blackmailed and criminal and corrupt and lobbyist, big money, everything about it, lizard people, even how bad, absolutely unfixably bad it is. It's functioning as broken.
Intended.
As intended, which is as intended, which is absolutely disgusting.
Well, not if you're one of the people that benefits from it. It's working fucking
unless you're
great
sucking
if you
up
benefit.
Right. And then I will see that the way it trickles on down into the states, in my state, very tangibly, I hate to say, like affecting my world directly in terms of where's the money? Where's this money? Like ignore the talking from the actions. They're divorced from each other. And then even more locally, not my county, but across the waters, as they might say, at the county level, absolute corruption. And so you see it. And so then your response to that, like that, all of this turtles all the way down. It's all so bad. I'm divorcing myself, with the whole sovereignty mindset. I'm going to divorce myself from all of that. How do I live that out, play that out, act that in my life? What can I do as a pleb? What can I do? Okay,
I'm fucking easy, dude. That is so fucking easy to answer that question. It's the easiest answer in the world. Go down to the Amazon rainforest, find a tribe, say, will you pretty please teach me how to survive out here? And they'll go, yeah, okay, sure. And then live there. And that's it. You're free from
sovereign control. That's the only escape.
If you go, because inherent in that thesis is like, I want the benefit of everything that's around me. I want to be able to go shopping in a grocery store where I have unlimited options. I want to be able to buy clothes anytime I want. I want anything on planet Earth delivered to my door within a day or two. I want to be able to fly to Africa if I feel like it. I want to drive on paved roads. I want to have an electric car. I want to have an electric grid. I want to have the internet. I want to have my computer. I want all these things. I just don't want anybody to get in the way of that. You go, but do you well, okay, that you don't get both. Like you don't get to go like, well, I want stable governance and stable society and stable everything around me and a police force and courts and ways to adjudicate disputes so I don't have to go shoot my neighbor because he stole my fucking pig and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't want to pay for any of that or be part of any of that apparatus. You go, okay, well, you don't get both, right? Like you don't get to have like this big modern globally interconnected society and not deal with the thing that coordinates the globally connected society. So pick. And the I think the error in thinking for a lot of people, myself included in the past, is like, oh yeah, well, we can do voluntary this and voluntary. It's like that's not how the world works, dude. Like that's not how people coordinate things. So if you want to separate yourself from the state, then separate yourself from the state. But that means separate yourself from all the things that the state brings, which is like the house that you live in, ultimately. So I mean, go live in the jungle. It's pretty fucking easy. Like there's literally nothing stopping you from doing that. You go, well, it's inconvenient for me. Okay, so you're so convicted in your sovereignty that a minor inconvenience is the barrier to you achieving it. You go, really? So are you really convinced that you want sovereignty or do you just want your cake and eat it too? And I think most people lean much harder into, I want my cake and eat it too, than they realize is my sort of diagnosis at this point in life.
Mm. So the best that someone like me that is entrenched in the fiat world, but the best I could do is with technology and other things, I can Bitcoin. So let's just say best possible outcome with the great realignment. Yeah. Bitcoin can improve the situation we find ourselves. Like, okay, there's not really any escape, leading to your next book forthcoming, but there's no escape from this system. But Bitcoin is the best kind of escape hatch and optionality that you could be blessed with, as far as owning something, like actually owning something.
Well, yeah. Continue. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt.
Can the system? What's the best outlook we can look at if that's what it is? Like, okay, we're all stuck. We're stuck. Does the Great Realignment bring about a world in which it's not just filthy, disgusting criminality all the way from the top and trickling down? Eventually.
I hope so.
Eventually.
I hope so. I mean, like, here's the thing, right? Like, if you went to Los Angeles in the 1980s, or you went to Chicago in the 1980s, or New York in the 1970s or 80s, like if you're just walking around the streets of New York, there was a decent chance you're going to get knifed up, right? Like just kind of cruising around in general. Like that place was violent. It was dirty. It was buried in trash. Like you can go look at look, check this out, dude. I'm going to show you right now. New York in the 70s. And so if you can, let's see here. Let's here's I'm going to
share. You have it shared?
Not yet, but I'm going to share right now. New York in the 70s Google search. So this should be pretty easy, right? So, oh, whoops, I gave you the wrong window. My bad. Stop screen, share screen of terrifying photos, right? View gallery. So that's the New York in the 70s. Looks pretty nice. Ford to City drop dead. Famous headline. They said, bail us out. And Ford was like, go fuck yourself. But here you go. Like that's Harlem. That's nice. Those are kids coming back from school, by the way, back to their neighborhood where they live. Does that look like somewhere you'd want to live? That's the most developed nation on planet Earth in the 1970s. There you go. Look at that beautiful city. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that pretty? Ah, yes. Just after the power went out, this happened. That was no big deal. Here you go. What are you guys doing? Oh, we're just hanging out having some coffee. Like, what are you talking about? This this is fucking New York, dude. And people go, oh my God, the world is so it's melting down, Mondami, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, do you obviously weren't around in the 70s if you're thinking that, because New York in the 70s sucked balls, dude. It was dangerous to be there. And like I said, like if you look at the homicide rate in 1992, like in New York, it was like 3,500 homicides in the city that year in 92. And that was us as little 20-year-old kids. We were just a murderous lot of human beings, right? If you look at the murder rate in New York now, it's like 500 per year. And everyone goes, oh my God, New York's melting down. It's falling apart. It's so fucking terrible. It's like, I don't think you remember the garbage strike in New York. I don't think you remember when Harlem was basically a slum, as you just saw from those pictures. I don't think you remember anything about the world. And that was only 40 years ago or 50 years ago. So how bad is it really? Well, I mean, it's got problems. It's not perfect, obviously, but going from 3,500 homicides a year to 500 homicides a year is not trivial. That's a massive improvement in things. Are there still pockets of violence? Of course. Do kids still get murdered all the time? Of course. But it's like 1 or 1.5 per day, not 10 per day. Big difference, right? So same thing in Los Angeles, same thing in Chicago, same thing in Baltimore. Baltimore and Chicago and things like that. There are places there where it gets pretty bad, and those homicide rates are coming back up, but just the overall quality as a baseline has improved dramatically in the city of New York. Like you could move to Harlem tomorrow. You might not be the most comfortable all the time, but you could live there and chances are good you're not going to get killed. You might get mugged, maybe. But like I remember a guy I used to work with, he lived in New York all through the 60s and 70s. And he said, you had to do things like you couldn't walk next to buildings. You would have to walk with at least 10 feet between you and the nearest building, because every gap in the building, you ran the risk of some guy grabbing you, snatching you into a little thing, sticking a gun to your head and going, give me your wallet. And that is not a thing in New York right now. Like there are like model like chicks that are walking around in mini skirts and shit, just going do, 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 and they just walk wherever the fuck they want. Some guy might spit on them once a decade, but like so. So when we look at the world and catastrophize it and say, "Oh my God, look how bad everything's getting," I'm just like, "Fuck, dude!" Like things looked way more dire in the 1970s than they do now, and look what followed the 1970s. 1980s, and just compare the way the sentiment of the 70s versus the 80s. Like everyone was all of a sudden like, hey, bouncy hair and BMWs, and fucking Japan was taking off. And then everyone was terrified that Japan was going to fucking overrun us. But like there's always a fear cycle, is my point of all this. There's always a fear cycle, and there are visible things that you can kind of gauge, like how bad is it versus XYZ time period, right? Because if you've been in New York in the 1950s, it looked a lot nicer in the 1970s. But if you look at New York in the 1990s versus 1970s, it looked a lot better. If you go to the 2010s versus the 90s, you go, wow, this is way better. This is like fucking Disneyland. Same thing in LA. If you go to LA in the 50s, it was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Go there in the 60s, like, oh, things are getting a little weird. 70s, it fucking sucked ass. 80s was fucking cracktown and just fucking SWAT teams and fucking tanks and shit like that. It was fucking dangerous as shit. There were places in LA where you couldn't go if you were me, right? Because you'd probably get knifed up, beat up, shot, stabbed, whatever. My buddy in 92 took a bus straight down Highland Avenue through LA because his buddy got stranded at the airport in LAX. And so he just pulled up a map and went, okay, Highland Airport. Okay, cool. What he didn't realize is that basically put him right in the middle of Watts, where he had to transfer on his bus. So this kid's bright, white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy sitting there. He gets off the bus and looks around and goes, oops. He said, like, I got down to about 20th Street or something like that. All of a sudden, like, every white person was already gone. Every person on the bus was black. The bus driver switched on rap music and was just blasting it on the city bus. And he's just sitting there in the back, just like, I'm going to put my hood up. I'm going to pull my sleeves down. I'm going to pull my hood forward a little bit. And when he got off the bus, he looked around and he said it was nothing but thugs and gangsters everywhere on that corner. So he's like, I'm going to walk up the street a little bit, see if there's another bus stop. He went up the street and he's standing there and he was talking to a Hispanic guy that was standing there with his wife. And then he said everything was going fine, but the next bus wasn't coming for 45 minutes. So he's sitting there at 11 o'clock at night in this shitty fucking neighborhood, bright white as you can be. And then a bunch of guys came around the corner and he said the first three guys that walked past him were like, hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? And then the last guy was like, the third guy says, hey, what's up, bro? And then the fourth guy goes, that's not bro, that's Whitey. Uh-oh. Oops. Now, bear in mind, this is like a year after the riots, so not great. And all of a sudden, these 4 guys are surrounding him. And my friend was carrying a Bowie knife inside his jacket. And he said, all I was going to do is stab one guy in the chest and run as hard as I could. But then the Hispanic guy came around and said, hey, stop it. And so the Hispanic guy and these black guys were arguing about whether or not they're going to beat up my friend, who's just standing there just like, fuck, 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 fuck. And finally, for whatever reason, just humanity in general, the Mexican guy goes, if you're going to go for him, you got to go through me. And they're like, fuck it, not worth it. And carried on, right? But that was LA in the 90s. Like, that's 92. And that was much improved after the riots. So you go, well, how bad is it now in LA? Well, there's still places like if you go to Watts right now, it's not great. But I could drive through there without worrying about someone throwing a brick through my window because I drove through there all the time. A guy I worked with lived in Watts, and I would take him home regularly. And like I'd stop and get gas, and it's like, ooh, I don't feel comfortable here. But it wasn't like I just am not going to stop and get gas. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I'm getting at. It's like let's try and keep things in perspective. My long-winded rant about
we're still early on the scan of humanity progress.
Dude, 10 years from now, these problems are going to look trivial. Chances are good. Chances are good 10 years from now, things are going to be on an upswing. Chances are good from now, regardless of what Bitcoin does. I think things, because there's only so much of this that people can tolerate, and people figure out ways to work through things. We have like another probably decade to absorb the inflation that they incurred from 2008 and 2020, right? Like just as we were about to finish absorbing the bailouts, they went and did it again in 2020 and just massively expanded the monetary base. But that takes a long time to work its way through the system. So if you go back to the Great Depression, you go, when was the Great Depression? Well, the stock market crashed in 29. You go, no. The Great Depression was the decade between 1930 and 1940. It wasn't like the crash. Things got bad right after the crash, but it was all the things they did to try and fix the crash that prolonged that thing up until the war. And it was basically the war that kind of helped pull us out of it. But I think we would have pulled out of it anyway, just not quite the same way, And that's the same thing here. Like we've got a decade still. And we're 6 years into that decade. So another 4 or 5 years at least before the inflation problem stabilizes. And once the inflation problem stabilizes, then they can start figuring out how to inflate the money supply, start goosing the fucking economic engine, and I think in 10 or 15 years, you're probably going to see people running around and, buying whatever new gadgets come along at the time, and things are going to be, and everyone's going to, yay, this is great. And then they're going to overextend it. They're going to fuck it up. They're going to crash everything. Everyone's going to go, oh, the world's ending. And then we're going to rinse and repeat. That's my thesis.
So all things in perspective in that way, Bitcoin, with the longest chain, Bitcoin remains the best option solution that anyone can access and secure themselves as best as anyone can, even as it's a roller coaster, the pendulum swings, but on par. I guess you can look at things are getting better in terms of like you look at global stats on just
look how many babies
starvation, infant deaths, starvation, economics generally. You go to other countries and it'll hit you like, oh my God, I didn't realize how impoverished so much of the world is. Like, you should have seen it 50 years ago, or 10 years ago, 20 years ago. But anyway, yes, it's not what we would like. It's
never going to be what you like.
In a leftist fantasy world, it's all horrible. And it's steady. As much as 8 billion people can adjust to a new paradigm or a change or economic systems, it takes 10 years for inflation to catch up. And yet things are on par better. That said, you heard recently, impact theory, Tom Bilyeu, listening to stuff like China right now with their real estate and their economy. Japan raises interest rates. What with AI, all these things going on. And then, of course, like we talked about, knuckling down into the stupidest war we've seen in a while. All of these things, maybe it's the stupidest one. I don't know. This might be the stupidest one.
They're all pretty fucking stupid. Vietnam, like literally from Korea on, they're all just like, what are you guys fucking doing? At least they had some sort of ideological cover in the 50s and 60s, but now it's just like,
when do these chickens come home to roost? Like ever?
No, of course not. We're the United States of America. They don't come home to roost because we
never.
No, like what chicken's gonna come? They lost like $4 trillion between Iraq and Afghanistan. Some of that is like literally just go, where'd that money go? I don't know. Like
There was a
there were,
picture of a pallet of money, but
yeah,
after we were told to walk away,
I don't know.
uh,
I don't know. Beats me. Like there were soldiers in Iraq that said they were seeing pallets of fucking money, like cash American dollars coming in off C-130s and shit. And they're just like,
yeah,
what the fuck?
totally.
But if you're just like some 22-year-old kid and you're looking at like a warehouse full of pallets full of cash and you go like, what's the likelihood some of that's not going to walk off? Like zero, right? So just that alone, you go, what was the fallout from that? Nothing. Nothing at all. People got pissy. Oh, look at our withdrawal. Look at this. Look at we left this stuff behind. We did this. And they can complain about it. We go, okay, what was the fallout? I mean, you tell me. Did you see
I
any
would
fallout?
say, I'd say it's all the things we see today that we kind of consider a normal in terms of, oh, the pendulum swings, but it's an uphill roller coaster, and yeah, there's bad times, there's good times, but it's all better. I would say, imagine if we didn't have any of that bullshit at all. Life today, the amount we work, the time we spend doing what, the wealth we would have, it would just be an amazing era. And yet it's just kind of calculated or otherwise, it's tempered down to keep us just grappling with shit.
Well, I mean, that's one way to look at it. The other way is like you go, well, that's the only way we get here. Like we had to go through World War One to get to the Depression and all that kind of shit and all that little financial shenanigans. And then from that, we had to go through World War Two and we got this like boom period. But that was structural changes in the economy. And that was massive destruction that followed, or that preceded, and then massive boom in one part of the world, massively. And then the rest of the world slowly caught up. Europe first, the rest of the world trickling behind, right? But if you think about what occurred during World War II, you go, oh, what happened then? Well, Europe was flat. Japan was flat. They got fucking nuked. Russia was flat. Oh, what was left? Well, America wasn't flat. Oh, well, how come America's doing so good? Because we were the only one that wasn't flat. Like, it's not a like crazy concept. You go like, why'd America do so well? Because no one bombed us. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole time during the war, people went to work and they built bombs for things, and Rosie the Rivet was building your planes, and everyone was just kind of there was rationing. Like you go, well, you can't buy as much flour this week, or your gas you can only get 10 gallons or whatever it is. But like if you were just, I mean, there are people dying, obviously, like soldiers dying in the war and whatnot. So I'm not saying it was nothing was going on in America, but in terms of like the gross taxable base, like a lot of massive things changed with World War II. You go, well, what happened then? Well, they decided this income tax thing was a pretty good idea. Oh, well, what became of that? Well, that massively expanded state capacity. So we got this massive like handout program for GIs coming back, and we got these massive social programs. We got these massive expansions of public works and this and that and the other thing. Like a lot of our infrastructure came out of Depression era fucking building, and a lot of our modern infrastructure came out of post World War II building. And then, everything sort of fell apart from that paradigm in the 70s. But then we got this new massive expansion of like technology and aircraft and computers and internet, network connectivity and yada, 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 which gave us another boom. And then they pushed that too far and then it collapsed. And now we're going to come up with some other thing, probably, that moves us forward from there. Like, I'm not saying if you're like on the economic margins that it doesn't suck for you personally. But if you're not on the economic margins, it's just kind of like, well, just, keep your head down, keep doing whatever you're doing because you're not changing any of this shit, But the idea is like, well, if we could just strip away all the bad things, then only the good things would remain. I go, well, what would be the incentive for the good things? Like, where does that even come from? Like, what does the world look like if everyone was just kumbaya and holding hands and nobody invades anybody and nobody violates anybody's rights and nobody, I go like, that's just as utopian a fantasy as the communists and just as utopian a fantasy as the socialists. You go like, well, if everyone just got along and voluntarily, worked hard and blah, 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 we'd have economic prosperity. I go, well, that's what the communists say in the other direction. And neither one ends up the way you think it's going to be. Right.
Well,
So
one would be let's just say one is statist and the other is a free market. And so the
they're
one
both
that's
status. There is no free market, dude.
well, just
Show
so
me some fucking
imagine
free
if
market.
if it was less of a communist statist thing and more of a pretend capitalism, but at least it's more of a minarchic republic and less of a, again, pretend to be capitalist, but ultimately communist status. Let's just say it was more accurate. And the economy was more authentically good and people more authentically were doing better. I could see people creating more ideas, more art, more inventions, more writings, more, I don't know, life thriving.
Well, yeah,
naturally.
Maybe.
I mean, not some utopia like nobody has to work. We can all sit around and write poetry. But, people would be productive, but in a way that is flexible to their choosing and not a slave.
Well, I mean, that is a utopian vision of things, because it presupposes a lot of things that don't exist in the world. You go, well, if we just had like a free market, I go, there's no such thing as a free market. Like, that's just a false fucking idea right out of the gate. And people parrot it and people go, well, the free market would, and the free market does, and free market this and that and the other thing. I go, the quote unquote market economy, which is a state managed thing through and through, that is a status proposition right out of the gate. There is no such thing that is like these independent voluntary actors enter this economic union and perform economic activities. Like, that's not how that works. It carries the illusion of how that works, but that's not what's occurring under the hood. So you go, okay, well, if we create this fantastical world based on a fantastical theory that doesn't exist in reality, then everything would be great. And that's the exact same logical error that the communists make. They go, well, if we create this magical world and create magical systems that don't exist and have never existed, then everything will be great. And what you find with the one side is it's redistributive. The other one is like clawing, but both are statist at heart. It's just a different type of statism. One expands state capacity, one collapses it. That's it. So the appeal, though, is the expansion of state capacity ends up with losers, and the losers then become the people that want to take from the winners. And then if they rise to power, they take from the winners until the thing that made winners and losers collapses, and then everybody's a loser. And then someone will come along and reset that cycle. But the idea that there is some mythical world where like free markets solve everything because Milton Friedman said so, you go, yeah, that.
Well, imagine if, okay, so statism is and always will be. Maybe that's we should endeavor to even just have statism, because what we have is deep statism. Powers that be behind the scenes beyond states. Every war that wasn't a war that we've ever been in since World War II that Congress never voted for, and yet how and why did we get into these things? What was that? Was that statism or something that we've been trying to figure out forever?
Well, it's never, people say, oh, we got this deep state, shadow government, this, that, and the other thing. I think it's a category error as well, because they think that's separate from the thing that should be happening. But that's the thing that's always been happening. There's never been a power structure in the history of the world where there weren't people maneuvering in the shadows, ever. Like in your office, people are maneuvering in the shadows, 100%. And they're doing things for their own benefit behind the scenes that aren't necessarily germane with the rules, with common decency, with fair play, any of it. They're just doing things that are fucking with the system for their benefit if they can. And people that are really, really good at that scale in their ability to influence things. So like the notion that like England in the 1600s under King George or whatever didn't have some shadow thing occurring that was massively influencing outcomes is like, yeah, I don't think so. But the idea that you go back to the time of the pharaohs and there wasn't somebody in the shadows doing some shit in the background that was massively influencing things, you go, that's not probably a logical conclusion to arrive at. But if you go to the United States government when it first formed, like, early United States history, was anything going on in the shadows where people were fighting and thinking about ways to claim power and exercise things in the first bank of the United States and all the shit that went around that, and people getting killed and having duels and fucking all assassinations? You go, oh, but the shadow government is new. It's a new thing now. We never had that before. Now it's this. I go, the deep state. I go, that's just the state. That's what the state does. The state
Yeah.
has its outward face that interfaces with you, and then there's a state that's doing the state things under the hood. But
Well, at one point it seemed like as a thing, it was something that, presidents could fight or even have a duel over, or attempted assassinations about, or end charters. And now that's too late. That's
what are you
baked
talking
in.
about? They just tried to assassinate the current one multiple times now. So you go, oh,
Yeah.
that's not happening anymore. I go,
So if anything, it's more entrenched. It's grown. The wealth has fed the deep state. And then, like, Congress, there's a bill to end insider trading in Congress, and I think Pelosi voted against it. But
yeah, she's
just
worth
trying to
$1 million.
tackle just straight up corruption, like what Doge was trying to do, and they can barely chip at it. I would like to see that get fixed, but my concern is that the deep state hasn't just kind of always been there. It's integrated and become hand in hand with what the government is.
Well, that I would point out is the error in that logic. Is they go, well, there was a time when there wasn't a deep state. Now the deep state is embedded. Go, no, the deep state is always embedded. It's not a deep state and a shallow state. It's just the state, and the state operates under those auspices, right? There's no like period in time when everything was just hunky dory, and then suddenly these people came in and corrupted the thing that was working perfectly. There's the thing that's always been imperfectly functioning and always been in tension with, paper rights and things like that. But to this day, people will lean on their like, well, the Constitution says, and this and that and the other thing. But if you study the law, you go, oh, well, that's like all kinds of variable and subject to dispute and ongoing dispute. Like we just now, the Constitution of the United States of America, the Second Amendment to the Constitution, has said you have a fundamental right to own a firearm. That's only been settled now, 250 years after the ratification of that Constitution. Now, after 250 years, we finally have a ruling that says, oh, yeah, that's an individual right. You go, wait a minute, this is a fundamental thing in the United States. Our Constitution says this is. You go, how is it that the second item on the list has taken 250 years to settle? And then to point at the rest of the apparatus and go, well, all this stuff is broken now because of all these reasons. I go, it's always been broken, dude. It's never not been broken. There's never been a time when America great, America first, and yada, yada, yada. It's always been contested. It's always been fractured. It's always been fought over. It's always been manipulated. It's always through the entire time. There's never been a time when, well, it used to be good and now it's bad. It's like, no, it's always been about this bad.
So can Bitcoin and the Great Realignment help realign the state from being going from more shadowy and corrupt to just simply less shadowy and less corrupt, or perhaps can't do that? Is that possible?
I don't think it'll ever make it so people aren't doing things in the background, because there's always ways to manipulate anything. Like there's, like it's a failure of imagination to think like, well, if we just lock down this one thing, then everything's going to get fixed. To go, there's nothing to lock down because there's always a workaround for the lockdown. So no, but what Bitcoin does do, and I repeat this almost ad nauseam now, is it instantiates something that's never existed before, a valuable property right that can't be taken from you. And that is a fundamental shift. As I've been going at great lengths and rambling at great length to say, like, none of this shit is new. None of this shit is different. None of this shit is like, oh my God, why is it like this now? Because it used to be so great. Like, it's always been kind of this shitty for the people at the bottom of the pyramid. It's always sucked to be a Mesopotamian laborer. It always sucked to be an Egyptian laborer. It always sucked to be a medieval serf. It always sucked to be a fucking Latin American debt peon. It always sucked to be an American laborer. It always sucked to be an American slave. It always sucks to be an American office worker, and it'll always suck to be labor, right? Like there's no escaping that. But what Bitcoin does through that whole thing is like the Mesopotamian debt peon owned nothing. You will own nothing and you will be happy. Same for the Egyptians, same for the medieval serf, same for the fucking, every single fixed agrarian society that had a labor class has never owned anything. But even the people at the top didn't really own anything. That's why they're always scrambling to retain power, because it's hard to, hey, what's up, Johnny? But the point is, it's like they're always scrambling to retain power because it's intangible and it's fleeting, and you're going to lose it at some point. Like, you don't get to reign indefinitely. But what Bitcoin does is it changes that on one very important axis. You go, well, can the laborer own some property that's not subject to seizure from the state? Yes. Can the state own something that's not subject to seizure from another state? Yes. Can a corporation or a firm own something that's not subject to seizure from another firm or from the state? Yes. Okay, is that different? Yes. What does that do? Well, I don't know. I mean, like, to try and predict what that means is a fool's errand, I think. But what I can say with a high degree of certainty is that's a very different arrangement in the world, if that makes sense, right?
Mhm.
Like, you as a laborer now have property that can't be taken. And the state's goal, writ large, is to get you to work. They go, you go work or you don't eat. You go, okay, I like working. Hard work is a noble trait. You go, really? Is it? Because if you go ask like an Amazonian rainforest guy, hey, do you want to go sit in an office all day and fucking push email and sit in a chair and not be in the sun and eat fucking shit out of plastic and drink fizzy fucking sugar water and go to meetings all day? And I go, why would I ever do that? That sounds insane. Like, I live in nature. This is a beautiful life. I'm healthy. I'm fit. I eat fresh fruit every day. I have my family around me. I don't think I want to trade that. No, you have to, right? Why? Because you can't have any of this fruit and all this stuff unless you go and sit in the office and grind, or unless you sit in a field and grind. Like, nobody would make that trade if you already lived in that world.
Yeah.
But now all of us look at it and go, yeah, I want to go work. Like, it's a good thing. If I work harder than everybody else, that means I'm a good person. It's like, yeah, you're just a kind of a bigger sucker, really. But so that hard work ethos and all that, but that's a 100-year process of converting what was forced labor, you must work or you will starve, to, well, you feel like you should work or
You
you'll
want
starve.
to work.
You want to work, and by the way, you'll starve if you don't. And you go, yeah, it was voluntary. This is a free market. Yeah, I'm free to choose where I work. You go, but you're not free to choose to work. That's the point at the bottom of that the free market people never fucking talk about. You go, well, can I just opt out of working? And they go, well, no, why would you ever do that? Because that's, you go, but that's the natural state of humanity. If you break it out, you go, well, how many Eskimos go and toil a field for 12 hours a day? Zero. How many Amazonian rainforest people toil a field for 12 hours a day? Zero. How many Hazda tribe members go and toil a field for 12 hours a day? Zero. How many of them are perfectly happy not toiling a field? 100%, right? So somehow or another, we've got, a few billion people in the world are just like, yeah, I'm happy to wake up every day, go to a place I don't want to be, deal with people I don't want to talk to, and do things I don't want to do so I can eat free. And you go, really? That doesn't sound free to me, right?
Yeah, well, and from that view, I mean, the entire developed society's state of humanity is hundreds of years detached from a kind of lifestyle that might have been, if you call it close to the earth. I mean, they're still even probably agrarian, but that feeling that there's a little deep biological memory that we have that we might get a taste of when you go hunting or you go camping.
Yeah.
And you get that feeling of, if you can shut your goddamn monkey brain off and
Right.
sit and shut up for a minute and just take it in, and then maybe open your mind and your spirit and then do that for days. Most people can't even do that because they're just bored. But
Right.
if you can do that, then you get a glimpse of what a natural state of a human on this planet feels, which is, I might say, strangely, not that I'm all enlightened on this, but I've felt it, that you have a relationship with the earth, the animals, the plants, the things, everything, and you're kind of here now, and you're feeling it, and your sense of purpose and life situation and everything about it comes together, and you're one with it.
Yeah.
And so we
Oh, yeah.
get little glimpses of that. I think most people never do in their entire lives, to be honest, or they might go walk Central Park and have a memory of it and feel like that felt nice. Now back to the office.
Right.
So I don't know if we can get, I think most people, let's just say you had that dream, like I want to get authentic. Well, then you're on the show of Alone and you're dead by winter.
Yeah, maybe.
Or
Well, check this out though. I mean, like something happened in Cuba, right? When the communists took over and they got cut off from, global finance basically, and they became a dependent satellite state on the Soviets. Look at what the Cubans did. And what the Cubans did, like the government said, we're all going to starve. Okay, everybody in the country, go plant a garden now. And everyone went, okay. And so they went and planted gardens all across the country. You go, well, what happened? Well, their food quality massively improved within a year because they didn't want to starve. But in doing so, what they were doing is growing their own food. And that's the kind of the quirky, funny thing about the world right now. Like, if you want to go get pristine land that's comfortable and this and that and the other thing, it's a little tough because it can be expensive now. But if you are okay eking out a hardscrabble existence in the desert where land is super cheap because it's hard to get water and things like that, and if you can figure that out, you can sort of duplicate that experience almost anywhere for almost nothing. It's almost free, but it kind of sucks for the first 4 or 5 years to get that going. But once you do get that going, your obligation to the state is nearly zero. Like, you have property tax at most. But if you're growing the bulk of your food in your own little greenhouse in the desert, and you're collecting rainwater and you're storing, 10,000 gallons of water, and you're really judicious in your water use, and you're collecting solar energy because you have access, because of this massively interconnected global supply chain, you have access to things like you can just get energy for free from the sun. If you go spend, a couple $1,000s on solar panels, go, okay, that's a pretty good deal. I just get energy for free. Yes. Well, I mean, once you sink the capital costs, yes. You can collect water from the sky. How much does that cost? Well, you have to have the capital cost of some place to store it. But if you you can literally go out there with a shovel, dig a cistern, plaster it, and set up a little thing that drains all that water that you collect off your roof into the cistern, and you can save up 10,000 gallons in a cistern. You go, well, okay, so I get free water and free energy. Right. What can you do with free water and free energy? Look pretty good, right? You could build a little tiny structure in the middle of the desert for probably 20 grand, all in, like finished and habitable. It's not, it's gonna, like I said, it's gonna stuck for the first 5 years. But after that, you go, what do you do? Well, I grow my own food. I have my own water. I got some chickens, so now I get some eggs, and I put up a little fence, and I put up a windmill so I could pump the water a little easier. And I did this and I did that. And you just kind of slowly build out your existence. You go, that's about as close as you're going to get in the modern world to building out an existence that is at one with the earth. But people go, well, isn't that work? And I go, well, it's a different kind of work because you're not doing that for someone else. You're just doing that for yourself. Right. So, and now thanks to Elon Musk, you go, well, now I can even get like fucking network connectivity in my little thing out in the middle of the fucking Texas desert where it's 110 in the summer and it kind of sucks ass. And maybe once in a while I have some illegal alien running across my fucking yard or whatever, but so what?
chupacabra.
Yeah. Or you get a chupacabra and, maybe you get some goats, but like you can build this kind of life out, and you are literally doing the exact same thing that American settlers did all through the first 100 years of this country. You go, were they connected to the earth? Yeah. And it was a hard fought thing. But by the time those people got settled and got everything kind of built out and working for them, it's like, it's a pretty good life, man. And there's no sort of, you're not really beholden to the state anymore at that point, right? You go, well, I have food, water, shelter, and electricity and internet connectivity. So you even get part of the perks of the modern world. So you go, hey, I want to be sovereign. Well, go do that. Like, you don't have to run off to the jungle and wear a fucking loincloth and figure out how to not get bitten by poisonous bugs or whatever. You can just kind of exist in a stable democracy in a way that's mostly away from sovereign control and in a place where nobody wants to come bug you because there's nothing to fucking do out there. There's no fucking water. There's nothing worth developing. So you go, okay, there, you're free. You're self-sovereign. Go, well, I mean, you're kind of isolated, but if you're out there with your wife and your kids, like you're no different than the guy that was just kind of roaming across the plains of Oklahoma and set up a fucking mud hut out in the middle of nowhere. Except that guy had to worry about some tribe of Indians coming along and slaughtering him. So you don't even have that worry. You can just sit out there. Go, okay, you're sovereign. But to get back to the idea about Bitcoin, my point with that whole thing is like, with Bitcoin, there's a fundamental change in the global economy that you can own something. And that's never happened before. And it's true for every human being on planet Earth. You can actually own something and it's valuable and people recognize it as valuable. And not only is it valuable, but you can move it around with internet connectivity. You go, that's a big fucking change. And it changes how you think. And my thesis in that book is rooted in the idea like, well, if it changes you and it changes me, it's going to change everybody that comes in contact with it, because it, on some level, they're going to go, wait a minute. At some point, someone's going to figure out like, hey, I've got something that can't be taken from me and I can do things with it and it matters. Huh. Okay. That's different. How am I going to approach the world now that I have something that no one can take? Oh, it's a different calculus. What people do with that in their imagination, what people do with that in their creativity, what people do with that in their dreams and ideas. Some people are going to fuck that up. Some people are going to make that into something really pretty special and probably something that we haven't seen before in the world. But I can't predict what 8 billion people are going to dream up. Like that's a huge ask. So why I'm sort of positive, especially around Bitcoin, because it is the only thing on earth that I'm aware of that has that property. Nothing else on earth does. Ethereum doesn't have that property. Cash doesn't have that property. The US government doesn't have that property. Like your land doesn't have that property. Your house doesn't have that property. Your food doesn't have that property. The clothes on your back don't have that property, but Bitcoin does. Is that different? I mean, that's why it's so impactful. And it's why it's really hard, because as you've seen in this discussion, I'm talking a lot. I'm just blah, 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 blah.
Oh, I have so many thoughts.
Awesome. Well, I'll shut up. But the thing I'm trying to unpack is like, think about all the different little like heuristics and, assumptions that we have to navigate just to get down to a core concept. It's nearly impossible to talk to anybody on planet Earth to get them to strip away all the artifice, all the ideas, all the things they learned in high school, all the things they learned in history class, all the things they learned about money. All that stuff is roughly correct in a broad sense and mostly wrong at origin, at base. So you go, well, it kind of works for me to navigate the world, but it doesn't really work anywhere else other than that. And it starts becoming almost like quantum mechanics. You kind of go, and for most people, you go, I don't know what money is or why it does what it does, but I just know that it works for these things. And that's exactly what quantum mechanics goes. We don't understand this. My sole purpose in life at this point is to understand to understand that quantum state and go, what makes this thing do this and not this? And what makes this happen this way and not this? And if you get down to that quantum level, there's two states that are available. You either own or you do not, right?
Right.
And right now, everything that our lives are built on is you do not. Now, for the first time since 2009, there is something that exists where you go, yes, I do. I do own a thing and it's valuable to other people. And I can move it around. I can transfer it. It's not something that I have to guard with a fucking vault. I have to bury it and I have to have soldiers protect me. And I have to have, missile launchers to protect it's like, nope, it just kind of exists in fucking magical unicorn land and it can't be taken ever. So you go, well, that's something to build on. What it builds out to, I think, is an open question right now. But I have almost no doubt in my mind that it's going to be transformative. Like it almost can't not be transformative.
Yeah, that dream is reality, and the reality remains quite alive, and perhaps many use cases of that property can be quantumly disentangled from the state. Right. Now, not entirely, not in every case, and not in many cases, but it can be, and it opens up so much human potential, and then
massively.
Oh my gosh, I was thinking about so many things, but it was connecting threads on everything from where we started this conversation with the node debates and where that's going. Michael Sullivan's talks and orange pilling. I have actually kind of quasi orange pilled a few people through this bear market, but the sentiment that I see out there largely is that a lot of people are just kind of getting through day by day, get distracted and angry by politics, but or like economic and war type stuff. But generally, like Tom Bilyeu yesterday, I think on his pod said, it's not typically like people that are working or labor that rises up and revolts. It's kind of like, it sounds like a thing like, oh, labor rises up against the elites. It's usually people who aren't fully engaged working or being productive that are sort of the youthful elites of our society that go rage protests here and there, and it's very ideological. And so then the arguments on that side, it's a dream without a reality. So you can dream, you can have these ideas. Oh, wouldn't it be nice? We could just do this. We could just do that. Things are unfair in the world. It needs to be fair. I want this. I want that. We could all just whatever. Mm-hmm. And it would be great. And right. We can't get that. And we've tried and we can't do that. And we're not doing anything about it. And we're not doing it. So we're going to rage. Right. And then just down with whatever, down with the system. Mm-hmm. And randomly earlier this week, probably because of the algorithm, but I saw a thing. I was just like, I listened to a documentary and I want to listen to more, but it was Mao and China. And I know things about that, but I listened to this deep dive on Mao and his birth and his childhood, and then going to be in the army and then becoming a leader, and Chiang Kai-shek, and then being evicted, and then gathering a following. And then because of global circumstances, he had the opportunity to, take over. And then from there, somewhere between 30 and 80 million people got killed. Oops. And the Great Starvation and all that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, holy crap, that was like in the 1950s into the 1970s. He died in like 74, 76 or something. Yeah, but anyway,
Kissinger showed up.
What's that?
Right after Kissinger showed up.
Oh yeah, right. Kissinger. Huh. Interesting. And but anyway, so literally the story of Mao, and then and Tom Bilyeu was talking about Mamdani and others on the the DSA, Democratic Socialist, whatever's, I don't know, the movement refers to Mao like in this light of, oh, the people, the labor, and they'll say things in that regard like, oh, like labor and the workers are so important. And it's like, the Marxist talk around labor and production and worth and all that.
Right.
But then where that has headed every time with the ideology ultimately is that we can't break enough quick enough. And then when actually labor actually gets in the way, because labor is actually producing and trying to do stuff, they're actually in the way. And that's even against utopia. And for the sake of utopia, well, it ends up like people get killed. But I guess I was connecting that with a sense of, say, personal utopia where, hey, I'm going to go grow a garden and be more sovereign and connected and live a good life. Separating those good thoughts around a human condition juxtaposed against the fantasy, which we see it in leftist ideologies, but the fantasy of, well, we know the state's corrupt, so down with the state, and yet now we're the state. So then the new socialist or communist state is just the state, and the state's the state. And so whatever is in the way gets out of the way or is gotten rid of. So,
well, I don't know. I had like part of that framing is like, like the communists have a fantasy and my thing is not a fantasy. But that's the same. Like if you strip away some of the artifice and you go, well, what's the core versus nots debate? You go, both sides say the other one is living a fantasy. But that's the framing. If you look at what the communists are doing from a structural standpoint, you go, what did they do? They got people to do things on their behalf. Full stop. What do capitalists do? They get people to do things on their behalf. full stop. What does a dictator do? He gets people to do things on his behalf, full stop. What does a representative government do? A group of people get people to do things on their behalf, full stop. That's it. That's the entire game. So the ideology behind it is the thing that motivates the people to do things on somebody else's behalf. You go to work every day because you believe in this capitalist system that's a fantasy. It's not true. The communist goes and revolts because they believe in a fantasy that's not true. At the top of that pyramid is someone that's convincing them this is a good idea. Full stop. So what you can see from outcomes is like the people that motivate people to do things on a seemingly voluntary basis tend to create more value in the world than people that motivate people to do things on their behalf to take from other people that are building things that make things better. So you get the high modernist thinking of Mao and Lenin, and those guys go, I've got the world figured out. I know how things should be. We should build things this way. We should do things this way, and that's going to fix everything. But the ideology underneath it is the thing that gets people motivated. They quickly find out that they're not God and they can't figure out every little fucking problem in the world, and they fuck things up, and then they get people killed, but they're still at the top of the pyramid, period. The capitalists come along and they say, well, we can do all these things, and if we just do this, we're going to bring all this amazing value in the world, and yada, yada, yada. And they do, and they get more people to create more things, and they expand a lot of capacity for the state, and they make things better for the people that they're commanding and that they're ruling over. But eventually they run into their own constraints because that also has a functional limit too. So that whole thing falls apart. And that gives a window for the people to come on and go, well, it's all unfair. Look how unfair the world is, because it is. Because you can look right now and you go, well, you know, like 0.1% of the population controls more wealth than the rest of the population. Is that fair? Well, think about all the value they brought to blah, blah, blah. I go, but it's not fair, right? Like from a 5-year-old perspective, if like, I don't know if you've ever seen that bit by Louis C.K. where he goes, I'm going to go play Monopoly with my little kids. And he goes, it's fucking awesome because you get to go, this isn't yours anymore. Like, this is mine. And it's like, wait a minute, that's not fair.
Yeah. I feel bad like playing Monopoly with, I haven't played it in a long time, but when I did, I feel bad. Like I didn't want my kid, as I'm trying to win, I didn't want him to land on my hotel because it's like, he's going to go broke and I feel bad. I'm like, I'm trying to make concessions. You can just give me that because you feel horrible.
Right. Well, that's the point is there's some guy at the top of our food chain right now that doesn't feel horrible about that. That's the point, right? Like, so the people that do have that humanity left in them and they recognize the unfairness of all those things, they just don't engage in those things, but they also don't bring any more value to the economy because they're not motivating people to do things on their behalf. Right. So the point of all that is like, I don't agree with communism. Like, I'm not advocating for communism. What I'm saying is I can understand why people get to that rationale because on a very base layer, if you don't understand anything else about the world, just like your kid doesn't understand the Monopoly board, they can just look and go, hey, that's not fair. And so you know, if you're just some kid who was raised in a, you know, whatever quote unquote capitalist society, and you've got all these trappings of things, but you look around and go, hey, that's not fair. Someone will capitalize on that idea. Full stop. If someone's doing really well in that system, someone will capitalize on that idea. Hey, look all the hard work you did is why you're so successful. Yeah. It's not fair that someone wants to take all my hard work. Well, I mean, but you see what I'm saying? Like it just comes down to like this fundamental idea of fairness, but neither side is fair. Neither side is right. Neither side is wrong. It's just one side tends to produce better outcomes than the other. Full stop. But at core, the logic is identical. I want people to do things that I want them to do for my benefit, period. One way appears voluntary and appears like you're making something for it and appears you're getting a reward and yada, yada, yada. But at the bottom of that chain in both systems, work or starve is the core ethos. If you're in a capitalist society, you work or you starve. Full stop. If you're in a communist society, you work or you starve. Full stop.
Or you starve anyway.
Well, that's exactly right. With the communists, the problem there is you may be working until you die because you'll starve anyway.
Russia and China were exporting grain even as the people were starving, sending their grain to, you know, the town center.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
Anyway,
that's what I'm getting at is like, if as hard as it is for people to do, and I wish more Bitcoiners could get on board with this idea, is like, because they're the only ones that I think have even a sliver of an opportunity to start understanding the greater world that they exist in. Because most people just will never grok it. They can't even get past like the idea that the Fed might be doing something wrong. They just go, "What? What are you talking about?" They don't get it, right? They go, "We live in a democracy, so everything's you could be, you know." But these are just like it's pleb slop, right? Democracy, yay, pleb slop. Communism, yay. Socialism, redistribute, pleb slop. Capitalism, great, pleb slop. It's all pleb slop. But if you can separate yourself from the slop and go, okay, what's the world really doing? You go, well, it looks very different. That's it looks very different to me today. I used to be very much in line with everything that you said all throughout this conversation. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, as I've matured in that reasoning, I go, well, it's a little stickier than that. But once you see that it is stickier, you kind of go, okay, well, I can see places where I can evade this. I can see ways where I can work around this. I can see things that give me a lot more latitude in how I do things. And I also recognize, like, hey, if I motivate people to do things on my behalf, then I'm going to do better in either system. It doesn't matter. So you go, well, the if you're really truly invested in like improving your lot in life, get people to do things on your behalf. But that's hard to do, you know. So if you just look at the world from a perspective of like everybody is trying to get me to do something on their behalf, and I can find a way to not have to do things on other people's behalf, that's a pretty good outcome. And Bitcoin is that one thing, and I keep circling back to this because you once you have it, no one can come along and make you give that away. So that's different.
mm-hmm.
What you do with that is fuck knows, right? Like I don't know what that does. Like the great realignment was a sort of like aspirational idea of like what this might work out like. Will it work out that way? No fucking idea. Like it could work out completely different than what I think. But what I do know is that there is some tangible item of value that can't be taken, and that's very different. So I think that gives power in a lot of ways that people don't fully grok yet because they think they're part of a system that's broken, or they think that's part of a system that could be better or should be better, and should adhere to paper rights, and should adhere to paper ideology, and should adhere to paper philosophy, and should adhere to. If the second you get out of should be and deal with what is, I think is a fundamental transformation for people. But it's a hard bar to clear, right? Like it's just not intuitive to do that. So to be the person who stands in front of the crowd and goes, "You're all wrong," is a very, very uncomfortable place to stand. But I think it's the only way to rationally navigate the world and not continually be disappointed. Because if you believe in an ideology, you're going to be disappointed by the ideology forever.
Mm.
And it doesn't matter what the ideology is, because right now we go, well, if everyone would just do the capitalist thing right, then everything would be great. Like you just said earlier, I will just imagine a world where everyone did capitalism right. And I go, yeah, but does that happen?
Yeah.
Does someone come along and fuck that up every single fucking time? Yeah. Does someone come in and get you to believe that and get you to work real, real hard and then give up even more tax dollars so they can go send bombs and fucking piles of cash to Afghanistan and just fucking launch missiles, at 25 million each over in Iran or 2 million each or whatever, and just send like thousands of them? You go, yeah, well, capitalism good. It's just because, but they shouldn't, they should. And you go, well, that's what's happening. Like deal with the world as it exists. And once you do that, you kind of go, oh yeah, there are ways I can get out of this. I don't necessarily have to participate in this. If the state forces your son to go off to war, it's kind of hard to duck. But barring that, or if they come and decide like, hey, your plot of land in the Dalles is really valuable right now, so you might want to bleep that. I don't know, but
no, that's fine. Oh.
You know what I mean? It's like if the state just comes along and decides your house is an important national asset, they're gonna fucking take it. Full stop. They might pay you, but they don't have to. And
come visit me and my arsenal of shotguns and the tribe of people I've trained up to be marksmen. It's fine. Just knock on the door. It's fine. It's all good. Yeah. Maybe we're friends. Maybe we're not. It's fine. Yeah. Either way, it's good.
But you get what I'm saying? It's like it's like if you can get away from the fantasy world all across the board, because it's all fantastical, and strip it down to like people talk about first principles. I go, that's your first principle that you need to grok.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a lot here, Professor.
Come on, Johnny. I'm just trying to come up with facts, man.
Can I bring notes to the quiz?
It's open book, man.
Okay. You never get to the utopia that you want, and so you remain angry, and then you get more desperate and do more desperate, crazy things to maintain what you're gonna effect, which is
Right.
at any expense necessary. Speaking of could be, should be's, wish were be's. Let's just. I've been playing.
Come
with this,
on, not the fork thing again. We just had this wonderful discussion about how kind of goofy
Okay.
the world looks when you.
Well, then I won't
run your fork simulation. Go ahead. Go nuts.
Okay, this has gone up. Current presumed measured hash rate it's gone from 0.8 to 1.3. So this has grown. Let's just say it grows. Let's put it at 5%. And come block height, we play this. I do think that, yeah, what then? I guess what next? What happens? What do people need to do for themselves in their time chain that they live on? Anyway, that's all I had.
4 blocks at 5%. Yeah, we showed big Bitcoin.
Yeah, there's big Bitcoin and the little Bitcoin. I know. Utopia cannot
Thanks,
cannot be
Johnny.
achieved. Oh, that's what I was thinking. Okay, so I had Pete Rizzo on yesterday.
Oh yeah. How was that?
I like the guy. He liked it. He's quite a talker, which is easy for a host. But I love it. We just didn't have enough time. I was like, dude, there's more to talk about here. But he has on other podcasts, he touches upon kind of like leftist ideologies of not to call it a utopia, but here's an idea. We want this to happen. And so then you're trying to get that to happen. And it's a social project. And comparing like what we talked about with Michael Sullivan and the narratives and the data on how people are talking about it and how some of that parallels like leftist talk. He recognizes that. We talk about it in a lot of other ways, but I hate to see it. So after post chain split, what do utopians do? What we hope is that people don't feel discarded, disempowered, that we lose good Bitcoiners. Hopefully people don't lose the big picture around it all. And so like my paradigm shifting again today, as it steadily has to over the course of forever. My paradigm has shifted today through this talk, and I'm always thinking about it and zooming out, expanding my horizons and thinking about these things. I hope people do that with Bitcoin too, as Bitcoin sort of becomes capital, basically Bitcoin largely as capital, but with the same properties. And so,
well, that's what it's becoming now. But check this out, dude. Like, do yourself, once we get off this thing, like go hop on Twitter, go to Super Grok or whatever you have access to, and just say, hey, Grok, go back to tweets from 2019, 2018, 2020, somewhere around there, and just say, how many mentions are there from Bitcoin centric accounts about institutions are coming? Get ready, be prepared. Institutions are coming. And that's what, 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago, right? A decade ago, Bitcoiners were like, just had the biggest boner on planet Earth for institutions are coming, because it's all number go up nonsense, right? They go, as soon as just think about what happens in Bank of America with the whole Bitcoin on their balance sheet, it's going to be fucking amazing, man. We're going to get fucking $1 million overnight, right? But I think what will be surprising is when you see just how many hits you get. It's going to be massive. Like, it's a huge amount, because I was there, I was watching, and I remember people talking about that openly. Oh my God, the institutions are coming. And everyone was so happy about that. Okay, so I go, well, hey, it's 2024. The institutions are here. Fucking institutions, big Bitcoin, everything's fucking ruined. They're going to take over. Blah, 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 blah. We need to fork off because blah, blah, blah. It's like, weren't you just the same people like 7 or 8 years ago that were just like, I can't wait for this, and now it's just like they're here, I hate it. Like, but it tells you a little bit about narrative shaping. But I mean, if you want to touch a little grass on the debate around 110 and knots versus core and all that kind of stuff, if you go back to the a priori concept, the game is get people to do things that you want them to do on your behalf for your benefit. Okay, so what is central to this debate? We've now got a bunch of people doing something that a couple of people want them to do for their benefit. So that's what we call colloquially is a power grab. Okay.
Right.
So but look at the tactics they use and I go, it's the exact same tactics that the communists use. It's the exact same tactics that the socialists use. And the core people rely on the same tactics that the capitalists use. So you go, well, what's happening here? Well, you're having a power struggle between two camps of people. One camp wants people to do things on their behalf one way, and the other camp wants people to continue doing things on their behalf for the other way. Period. Full stop. Not much else to look at there. And if you strip away all the artifice and technical discussions and yada, 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 you go, well, what are we really looking at? Well, people are trying to get other people to do things on their behalf, just like they always have since ancient Mesopotamia. So what's different in this conversation? Nothing. What's the outcome of that power struggle? Well, it's going to outcome however it outcomes, right? But it was the same power struggle in 2017. So there in 2017, you had a group of people that got a bunch of people to do things on their behalf for the benefit of the people that were pushing the idea. Because like Craig BSV guy made a fucking truck ton of money off BSV. Roger Ver made a truck ton of he tax evaded his way through the world because he made so much money and didn't want to give it up. So to go, well, who benefited from that? Because all the plebs that followed that chain, you can just pull up the chart and go, what's BSV done since the split? It's just like, that's not great, but they got a bunch of people to do something for their benefit on their behalf and convince them that that's the right thing to do based on ideology, philosophy, technical arguments. Whatever you can bring to bear to get people to do things on your behalf is a valid way to take power. How successful you are at it determines how successful you'll be. Full stop. So that's politics, that's corporations, that's jobs, that's investing, that's everything. Can you convince people to do things on your behalf for your benefit? And then the politics start melting away. You kind of go, oh, wait a minute. Yeah. So you can stop trying to figure out what these people are trying to motivate you to do, and you can just kind of not deal with their bullshit anymore. You just go, I don't want to do that because that doesn't benefit me. You're making it sound like it's going to benefit me. You're making it sound like I'm going to have a magical world as long as I follow you. But at the end of the day, those people are going to benefit enormously. The two cheerleaders of this movement have already benefited enormously. Their social reach has magnified dramatically. The amount of hash pointed at their company has improved dramatically. The amount of revenue they're pulling from that hash has improved dramatically. And when it all falls apart, who's going to get hurt? Not them. They're not going to get fucked by this. The people that followed them do. And that's true of the people that follow the capitalists off the cliff. And that's true of the people that follow the communists off the cliff. And that's true of the people that follow the socialists off the cliff. You just kind of go, well, maybe I just won't go off the cliff. Like maybe I'll just kind of sit back and go like, yeah, I get what you're trying to do here, trying to motivate me to do something on your behalf, but I choose my own way, Western man. How about you, GFY? And I'll try and figure out how to navigate whatever fucking change you're bringing into the world. And I'll try and navigate around all the people that are blindly following you. But in the meantime, I'm going to eke out my own little course here, and I'm going to try and find all the ways to evade, work around, work under, work above, work through your nonsense, or you become the kind of person that motivates people to do things on your behalf for your benefit. But that's your only choice, or you follow the lemmings. If you boil it down that way, life gets a lot simpler in a complex society. I think that's my personal take, but I don't know what you might remember said there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I get it. I remember when the ETFs were first starting to trade in 2024, January-ish of 2024. And I remember Matt Odell was one of the first voices that said, beware of these things. You know, you don't own Bitcoin. It's a BlackRock rug pull. And now the way it plays out, not exactly an overt rug pull, but then again, you don't have your Bitcoin.
Right.
You don't own your Bitcoin.
Right.
And he was cautioning everybody about it, as there was a lot of course, sentiment around the ETFs are here. Like, oh my gosh, we have some clarity, or we're allowed to.
Yeah.
And it was number go up. And I kind of was fluctuating between, like the great realignment, number go up. It's all good for Bitcoin. Bitcoin remains and continues. So I went from being, exciting to, beware the rug pull. And I'm still there too. And also, both are true. It's Bitcoin continues. There's still Bitcoin. So yes, it's inevitable. Bitcoin becomes the capital upon which various actors, including status actors, take advantage of as the finite resource capture game. It is what it is. And yet Bitcoin continues to function and run. So, Odell was on Bitcoin. What Bitcoin did this morning? I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, me too.
And you know, Odell left X and was on Nostr and doing the all caps thing. I know he's still on Nostr, but now he's back on X.
Yeah, because there's
not doing all caps. But he's one of those guys that can, you know, he was very based maxi, like beware plebs of the system trying to wall in and wall garden in Bitcoin. Beware. And he's still basically bullish on Bitcoin because Bitcoin, he knows, continues to run. TikTok, next block, stuff's building on it. He's investing in almost anyone who will build on Bitcoin, build on Nostr, build hardware, software, anything. He's just promoting the space. So I love Matt for seeing the threats, but then not getting tangled up so much in ideology. And even with BIP 110, it's like he can basically look at the game theory and play it out and be like, we still Bitcoin. We still Bitcoin. There can be anything from bad actors to well-intentioned malactors to everything in between. But we can still Bitcoin, and we're going to keep building on Bitcoin. So
right.
I don't know. I try to zoom out. And so chain split or anything aside, just take self-custody, Bitcoin.
Yeah. Well, take self-custody right now is a little tricky to say that to people, though, because there's a lot of, like, the overwhelming majority of people that hold Bitcoin don't understand any of this stuff, right? They don't understand any of the technical arguments either way, which is why they're so vulnerable to ideological narratives where they just go, okay, well, yeah, that sounds right to me. I like that, you know, and that also kind of touches on their economic priors, right? They go, oh, commodity theory and sound money and sound the hardest money, blah, blah, blah. And you go, well, okay, well, if you drink that Kool-Aid and then you start making decisions on that Kool-Aid, then you're, you know, but that's why I love talking about this stuff, but I always do so with a air of like, God, like people aren't going to really get what I'm saying. I think on some, like, I think it would take a lot of repetition. And the bigger problem with everything that I say is like, well, nobody necessarily agrees with me, right? So it's just like one voice in a fucking vacuum that's just like, I think things, and people are like, yeah, but I disagree with everything you say. It's like, okay, well, whatever, you know. And yet
just looking at this here.
Oh, is that Odell? Oh, nice.
The Bitcoin bear market is a survival test.
It's a fair thing. But I mean, but to your point though, is like, if I can strip away the ideology, if I can strip away the philosophy, I can strip away the politics, and I go, well, the one thing I know for a fact, like, I don't have to believe in anybody to go, I have a property right that can't be taken from me. Like that I think is about as a priori an idea as you can have in a complex economic system that exists in the globe. You go, I can't, and I keep saying this, I feel like a broken record. I can't predict what that means. I can't predict what anybody does with that. I can kind of theorize things, and like when you talk about Odell kind of game theorizing out things about BIP 110 and stuff like that, you can theorize, but it's a theory. It's not a fact, right? So you go, well, on some level, I know this is a big deal. Like on a very base human level in complex, fixed agrarian based societies, on a very fundamental level, something changed in the world in 2009 and it became official in 2024. And so you go, well, within 15 years, we have now validated an inalienable property right, alluvial title or allodial title. People have allodial title to an object, which has never, ever occurred before without state force backing it. And this ties a little bit into Jason Lowery's theory. And I give all credit to him because it was his book that made me kind of go, wait a minute, that's something. He orients it towards a military defensive application, which I think is a valid point to make in that thing. And I just keep taking that thread a little further. I go, well, if it can defend United States assets, and it's important enough in that regard that it provides a digital barrier in a digital world against digital attack, you go, well, isn't that true for me too? Because if you just listen to his thesis and you go, look, man, we as a society, as a country, the United States of America, our military is there to ensure that we have zero trust egalitarian access to places that we want to hold. And he says Bitcoin gives you zero trust egalitarian access to property. And I go, well, and he says that's important to the United States as a strategic asset. And I go, well, golly gee, can I have the same right as the United States to defend my property? Yes. Well, fuck, man. Like, if that guy's right, that's a big fucking deal, isn't it? Like it just strip away the rest of it, number go up and everything else. If a very thoughtful young man has come up with an idea that says this is a massive strategic asset, and now military people are saying, yes, we think this is a strategic asset because of Iran and what Iran was doing. They went, wait a minute. This Bitcoin touches on national strategic interests. You go, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I can have that too. It's kind of the equivalent of saying like, hey, we have a nuclear weapon. Yeah. Is that powerful? Yeah, that is a massive power projection technology. Interesting. But by the way, you can just go on Kraken and buy one too. It's like, fuck yeah, I want a fucking nuclear weapon too. That's kind of cool because no one can fuck with me after that, right? And you go, yeah, pretty much. And you go, okay, so maybe I should get some of that. I mean, does the number go up? Does it protect me from debasement? Does the government come and pluck my fingernails out to make me give up my nuclear weapon? All possible. Yeah, yada, 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 yada. Can I hide my identity and make sure that nobody knows that I have the Bitcoin? And yes. Is that possible? Yes. Do you need some technical capacity to do that? Yes. Do you need to think your way through that problem? Yes. But can you acquire it? Yes. Well, then that's probably something I want. If I can have the same power projection, power defense technology that the United States government has now determined is a good idea, that's probably something I want before everyone else grabs it up and I don't get the chance to own anymore. It's like, okay, do that. Like 100% do that. Absolutely, fundamentally. Go, what's that change in the world? Fuck knows. I don't know. I can't tell you. I wish I could. I wish I could predict the future. I can't. So what I can say is like right now in the real world, in the world we exist in, with all the politics and ideology and philosophy and communists and this and that and the other thing, I go, is there something that the United States government also agrees is a potential strategic asset to the United States military that I can just go buy off the fucking shelf? I'll take one, please. In fact, I'll take 10. So like, just give me that. And let's see what happens. Because if it truly is that level of defensive capability and you own it, what does that mean for you as a human being on planet Earth in a system that has nonstop been governed by elites, motivating people to do things on their behalf for their benefit? Well, fuck, dude, it puts you in an elite category in a really weird way that's never happened before on planet Earth. Yeah, I want some. Yes, please. Yes, I'll take some Bitcoin, please. Yes, I want to put it in self-custody. Yes, I want to maintain control of that amazing technology and just see what happens with it. Is it going to make me rich next year? Is it going to make it so I can buy a Lamborghini? Can I get babes 24/7? Can I have champagne jet flights and blah? Go, man, maybe, I don't know. But that kind of becomes a little less relevant if you zoom out, right? So, I mean, I don't know if that does that make sense?
and asking Google's AI about allodial title, a theoretical concept of absolute ownership free from any superior authority, meaning ownership without landlords, taxes, or government claims. However, true allodial title does not exist in the modern United
Not
States.
true, Google.
Because all private property remains subject to government powers like taxations and eminent domain.
Except for Google is wrong. And see, that's the beauty of what I am trying to put forth in the world, because I'm not trying to motivate anybody to do anything on my behalf. I'm trying to motivate people to do things on their behalf. I'm trying to motivate people to say, hey, one of the most powerful AIs on planet Earth, connected to one of the most powerful search engines on Earth, connected to one of the most powerful data collectors on Earth, doesn't understand that there is a allodial title available in Bitcoin right now. It exists in the world, and it's real, and it's adoptable right now. So Bitcoin is called, it doesn't even mention Bitcoin in there. And I go, fuck, dude, when people say you're early, I go, yeah, you're fucking early, man. The robot doesn't realize this yet. The robot that has access to all human information on planet Earth doesn't understand that you have accessible allodial title to valuable property right now that you can dispose of at your will anytime you want. And go, yeah, you're fucking early, dude. You're super fucking early. But don't give that away to fucking BlackRock. Don't give allodial title to the people that already have massive ability to protect their property. You don't. Your shit can get taken any fucking time, any place, by anybody with a gun and enough power behind them. But they can't take your Bitcoin, so fucking have some of that, because it's going to change your relationship to the world. Maybe not locally, maybe not immediately. It doesn't mean, well, I don't have to pay taxes anymore because I'm sorry. It's like, no, not quite. I don't have to go to work anymore. Well, you're probably going to have to work because the system is still work or starve. Doesn't matter. Or produce value and sell that value. So you have to work for yourself or work for others or work for something. You got to do something to get money, or you starve. Or you go off in the desert and grow your own vegetables. Or if you can like hoover up enough fiat shit that you can go buy a nice piece of land somewhere, pretty, where you like to live, rather than living in some hard scrabble desert fucking shithole out in the middle of like, South Texas desert shit. But if you have that capability and you can grow your own food and you can kind of separate yourself from that, and you hold allodial title to valuable property, that's an enormously powerful position to be in. You just might not recognize it yet. But I think if what I think is true, I think in 20 years, people are going to look around and go, oh, that was a big deal. And we didn't see any of this shit coming. Holy shit. Wow. I really wish I would have been early when Google didn't realize this existed. I really wish I would have been when even Bitcoiners don't understand what that means. When Bitcoiners are still tramping around going, Bitcoin is money. I go, you don't know what fucking money is, man. You don't get that is a state technology. That's not a technology for you. That's a technology for the state. But what you do have is allodial title to valuable property that is transferable at will by you. So you are self-sovereign over property. And it's a big deal, Western man. Which way do you go? You want a paradigm shift? There it is. That's your paradigm shift right there. Have something that can't be taken from you, that other people recognize as something worth having. Oh, big deal.
Yeah, the robot's still framing Bitcoin as a speculative crypto asset, which is not the same as property. Property being the only thing that can theoretically have allodial title. Yeah,
speculative asset.
If you're the state.
Ethereum is a speculative asset.
That term, which way Western man, Jack Mallers says that a lot. He's brought that up on his podcast when people have like decision points in their life, or there's rumblings in Bitcoin or in the economy or in politics. And it's like, he's like, I'm not red or blue. I am orange. I don't vote. I am Bitcoin through and through. Which way, Western man? Well, it's the side of Bitcoin. Speaking of which, Mallers stepped down from 21. Well,
that's
XXI.
impossible. He said he was never going to do that.
Yeah, I guess things change. I don't think we know all the details, although speculating, it's just kind of interesting. It's not even been a year. I think they went public 10 months ago, 11 months or 9 months ago, December. So yeah, step down, just focusing on strike, and then who knows what else, but his life, I think. But
and his $5,000 shoes.
Right. Which he explained.
Sorry, Mullers. I think you're
he explained, he told a whole story about where those shoes came from, and it was a fiat moment in his life, and He's like, fuck it. I know, yeah, it's ridiculous, but I like him. Sorry. Anyway,
Pretty fancy. I bet his wife likes him a lot too.
Wearing those in Prague. Yeah, no, he's living his best life. But
well, hey
yeah,
man, like let's back up a little bit because I know you're a big fan of Mahler's. I think he's
I like Mahler's.
I like him. I like the stuff he says. What did Mahler's do? He convinced a lot of people to do things on his behalf for his massive benefit. That he couldn't hold on to that role, it tells you a lot about, the fact that he hasn't quite understood what that role is. But what you can say with clarity as a first principle, as an a priori concept, you go, Jack Mahler's, as a very, very young man, convinced a lot of people to do a lot of things on his behalf and very much for his benefit. You go, is that capitalist? Is he a Bitcoiner? Is he blah, 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 blah. You go, well, he's just a power grabber. He grabbed power and he did so really effectively. So now he stepped down. Is he out of power? Well, in that one little instance, does he have a massive moat around him now financially? Yeah. Does he give a fuck what he says to you as a Bitcoiner? Yeah, self-custody, blah, blah, blah.
I think so. I still think, not to say he's a kid, but I do believe authentically he through and through feels like, he doesn't have to do a weekly podcast, but he pushes to do that. And I think he's orange pilled a lot of people, and he gets people to step away from the noise and be Bitcoin. And that's good.
Well, I mean, he gets people to step away from the noise and be Bitcoin. But all of that, well, I mean, I use Strike too, right?
I use Strike.
Like that's an official product of the MicroSeed Corporation, right? Like we use Strike. So it's not a dig on the guy. It's just like, that whole idea of like slay your heroes and whatnot. I just go, well, just don't have any fucking heroes to begin with, because we can look at his outward projection, but like if you go back to, I don't know, 2007 and you go, what did you think of Obama? Oh, he seems like such a great guy, and hope and change, and like all kinds of people are just, gushing over that guy and licking his balls. I can look at, like, he had an interview with Seinfeld or some shit like that, and you go like, yeah, that seems like a cool guy. But if you go listen to like an interview with George Bush, you go, oh yeah, I kind of like that guy. And if you go listen to an interview with Trump, you go, you know what, I kind of like that guy. Like if you get him out of the politics role and get him into just like a personal conversation, you go, oh, I fucking like these guys.
That's kind of the masterful art of being a politician.
Well, that's exactly right. It's the masterful art of being a politician. It's the masterful art of getting people to do things on your behalf for your benefit. Part of that is be likable. Make it seem like they aspire to the same things that you do, despite the fact that behind the scenes they are extracting from you. And you can say, well, the way Mahler's is extracting from me is voluntary. The way he's extracting from the rest of the population is voluntary. And you go voluntary. Yeah. But did he convince you to go use his platform? Yeah. He convinced me. I'm using it. Is he benefiting from that? Yeah. Has he motivated me to do things on his behalf for his benefit? Yeah. Does it benefit me? Yeah, of course. But who gets the real benefit of this? I get a slightly convenient app amongst numerous apps that I could use. He gets massive benefit from a trickle of lots and lots of people buying into his thing. Is he a legit Bitcoiner? I don't know, maybe. Do I know Jack Mahler personally? Nope. Ever talked to him? Nope. Ever dealt with him? Ever gone to lunch with him? Ever interrogated his beliefs? Nope. There's zero reason for me to believe anything he fucking says. Like, I don't know this guy at all. I have no way to gauge this thing other than his public statements. And public statements are not a reliable gauge of personality. Full stop. Like, I bet you if you just bum rushed Obama in a fucking park somewhere, he'd probably be kind of a dick to you, So chances good, like I've seen Mahler's in person, and just his attitude and presentation walking around in public, I go, I don't think I want to talk to this guy because he looks like he's going to be a dick to me, But so
he was stressed out. He had a speech to make. Yeah.
Well, whatever. The point is
here's
like,
something
I'm not gonna make excuses for somebody I don't know, especially somebody whose public persona doesn't necessarily align with what is happening behind the scenes visibly. So I go, I mean, it's fine to be a fan of somebody. I just go, I don't put any stock in what he is as a person because I have no way to verify that at all. Like you, I can gauge personality because I've talked to you and interfaced with you on numerous occasions, and I can have a pretty good idea of what your core values are. And I can be wrong about that too, because there's just go watch any true crime thing and go, how many people would come on and go, oh my God, he seemed like such a nice guy. He's always such a great neighbor. I didn't know he was eating babies. That's weird. Huh. Weird.
Through the heart of every man is the thread of both good and evil, or who said that? Zolanich, I can't remember. Gulag Archipelago. Interestingly, I know we should probably wrap this up. We've been going.
Oh my God, almost 2 hours.
Jack Mahler's resigns. It'd be interesting to learn more about sort of what comes of why about that. I don't know.
You'll never know. That's a power play behind the scenes that you're not privy to. Full stop.
We may never know. 21 Capital names Raphael Zaguri, CEO after Jack Mahler's resigns. You remember that name?
I do not.
Raphael Zaguri, he worked for Swan and was part of the whole big pirate blow up lawsuit flying between Corey Clipston and the Swan gang and Raphael when Swan started its mining thing and then connected that with Tether, and then maybe Raphael and some other cohorts in that slice of the business connected with Tether and pulled out from Swan and just went and decided to go on their own way.
Well, you know, lawsuits. Swan was a minority stakeholder in a mining operation. They didn't launch a mining operation.
Right. So they were such good neighbors, but we had no idea they were whatever. So whatever happened there, Zaguri was kind of a leading tip of the spear on that pivot and got in tight with Tether in tight with 21 and what's his name? Lubnik and Epstein file stuff. Anyway, yeah, just kind of interesting. Zaguri has really climbed that ladder in that direction, apparently very well. So feuding neighbors.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I don't think that's over yet. And I don't know that Swan has a position on it.
Oh God, dude. Well, like if you just go read the English court documents and it kind of like, I remember we kind of got in a little argument about whether we should report on their lawsuit filing. And I was just like, I don't think we should be talking about this because this is just like a one-sided view. And
it was speculative. It was the only news we had was Swan's press release news about it. And going off that, I was like, can you fucking believe Raphael Zaguri and those pirates that just up and rug pulled Swan? Because I like Corey.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. And that was why my caution at the time, I was just like, we don't know what that story is. And if you now break into the details, you kind of go, yeah, that's a stickier proposition than what the initial court paper said. Right. And especially if you read the English court documents, because they go, well, yeah, okay, so basically most of the things we said in that document are kind of not true. So sorry about that. But yeah, we kind of concede, and yeah, okay, we lose. So it's just like, so, I mean, you have to think about, like people talk about game theory all the time. I don't think they really understand what that means. It's a term that gets thrown around. I don't think people really get the mechanics underneath it. But if you just look at an incentive pattern, you go, well, if you're a public company and you have public clients and like, you can't come out and go, well, we really fucked a pooch on this one. Yeah, we kind of fucked up hard. We burned a bunch of money. And now these people kind of saw the writing on the wall and they bailed. And we don't really know what we're going to do moving forward. We got to cut down operations and see if we can bring things in line and then hope we don't get fucked by this thing in the end. Because if you put that out as a press release, like your business just dies, right? But it would be like Trump coming on the air and going like, man, I fucked up in Iran. I never should have done that. Whoa, God, what a fucking mistake I made. Like that's the end of his political career overnight because your opposition will capitalize on that. But as a first principle, just always go back to like, is this person trying to motivate me to do something on their behalf full stop. Just that's the only thing you need to look at. Is a politician on TV trying to motivate you to do something on his behalf? Yes. Is the CEO of a company trying to get you to do things for his benefit on his behalf? Yes. And it's all the way through the economy. Like when you find people that aren't trying to get you to do things on their behalf for their benefit, then you go, okay, that's probably somebody I can call a friend, and they're probably poor. You know? So that's it's a wild, weird, sticky, wet, and messy world, and navigating with clear eyes is really, really fucking hard to do because we're emotional and we're easily misled and we're easily bamboozled and we're easily influenced, and so like separating yourself from all that I think is impossible. I'm not saying I'm like that person. I'm just like, I'm above it all. I've figured the whole world out and blah blah blah. Like not at all. Like I to this day I can just get on Twitter, and if I just sat here on camera and didn't say a fucking word and scroll through Twitter, you'd watch my face get fucking like and then you watch me fucking and then erase it and just fuck move on. And that's all you're gonna see until I get to the kitten video, the timeline cleanse. I'm just like, oh look how cute that little kitty is, huh? And then you'd watch my face 30 seconds later go, fucking black guy got beat up this white kid in the fucking like I'm just
I heard an interesting thing about that timeline cleanse idea, where psychologically, when you're fed a bunch of sort of negative stuff or certain news fragmentary stuff, and then you're fed a dose of timeline cleanse of like, oh, look at the deer in the woods and the kitty playing with string,
that more.
So that trigger takes all of that garbage from before and kind of locks it in of like, now I get a reward for that. And so then you go back, you have a higher tolerance for the damage.
Yeah.
But so when I get into so as you know me, I can gravitate to sort of like the Whitney Webb one nation under blackmail kind of a view on things. And so just reading and looking up about things so 21 key backers. Let's see. Oh yeah. Cantor Fitzgerald is that big equity firm. Business with 21 Capital, connected with Tether, Bitfinex, SoftBank Group. Cantor Fitzgerald, that's the connection in the blackmail autocracy part of it. Howard Lutnick, that's who it is. U.S. Secretary of Commerce, Epstein's neighbor, CEO and chairman of Cantor Fitzgerald, and longtime chief executive and chairman since the 1990s. But anyway, so can we know what happened with 21 and why Mallers was stepped down? I just want to speculate, but we don't know.
Well, here, I'll give you a speculation. Some kid, somewhat ideological, got way over his fucking skis and jumped in a tank full of sharks and found out.
Right. Basically. Yeah. Basically.
So cool.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, that, you kind of like, it's that Game of Thrones thing, right? Like I've pointed out before, Game of Thrones, if you just go trace the history of the English War of the Roses and then trace Game of Thrones. And so, it's dramatized and there's dragons and shit like that. But if you look at the machinations going on in that court in the background, you just go, oh, that's complicated. Do you think you'd survive that as a human being? I wouldn't. I'd get fucked, dude.
Oh, dude.
So if I stumbled into something where I was like, I was like the hedge knight that showed up in the court and was trying to like make maneuvers in the background, like I would get fucked in 10 seconds flat. And that's basically what Mahler's just did. He was the hedge knight that wandered into the Game of Thrones and they went, oh, this is cute. How can we fuck this kid out of everything he just handed us for free? Oh, that's pretty easy. Just do this, and then he's out. And then he goes from I'll never step down to 10 months later, like I've decided to step away and I'm going to focus on Bitcoin. It's just like, wow, that didn't take long, did it? But that's a sophisticated, high level game of chess that very few people play well. So,
well, and maybe, he's getting a lot of kudos and applause for having maybe made a hard decision. He might have been.
He had no fucking choice, dude. You don't walk away from that. Like this is a straight up MBA thing, right? If you go, they teach in every MBA course in America. If you see the executive suite moving out or changing, that means something is either tragically wrong with that company or that guy fucked up hard. Either way, it's a glaring red fucking signal. You go, yeah, You fucked up. If you see the entire executive class go, you go, oh, that company's fucked up. If you see one guy go, you go, oh, that guy fucked up. He was not prepared to play that game at that level at all.
The optimist in me imagines Mallers going in there with the conviction and
exactly.
I just as I said, idealist. The idealist in me wants to say that Mallers went in there with conviction, with a vision, positivity. Let's do this, and he hit the brick wall of sharks, and was like, "I'm not getting anywhere with this," or I have to compromise or sell my soul or something. And he was like, "I'm out." I guess I could hope for that.
Yeah, I mean, but that's a naked speculation and probably doesn't align with reality very well, because I think a more sensible read from my perspective is you got a kid, slight narcissistic tendencies, has achieved enormous success in a very short amount of time and does not understand why, right? So and if you arrive at that position and you're full of piss and vinegar and you think, ha, I got this whole fucking thing figured out. I'm going to tell these people what's what. I'm going to blah, 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 blah. I know how to play this game. I've been here. Look what I built. Look at my shit. Look at all the stuff I got. And then he found out real quick, like, oh, these guys are playing a fucking game I didn't even know existed. Oops. Right. So I think the stronger likelihood is you've got a kid who achieved very early, very powerful success in a very, very dangerous game in a very, very dangerous world with people that are way, way better at playing that game than he is. So it's one thing to run your Bitcoin company and go to fly to El Salvador and talk to them about, Bitcoin, this and that and whatever, and zip around and do this thing that's kind of like tangential to the actual financial system, and then go and step in and go, I'm going to run a major corporation with the other people that have been doing this for the last 200 years. They've got 200 years of family experience and information and strategy being handed down generation to generation. Those are the people running those systems. And you go, it's like, do you think you would do very well if you got invited to dinner with King Charles? Like, how do you think you would look at that table? You would be an absolute fucking buffoon. You'd stand out like a fucking sore thumb, and they would clock you from a mile away, and they would shunt you off quicker than you even knew what happened, because you have none of the subtlety, none of the expertise, none of the strategery understanding. You won't understand the little look between the one guy to the other guy. You won't understand what it means when someone sets their glass this way and they go, like all those little subtle cues, like they will be meaningless to you because you don't operate in that world. And he just walked into that same world. It's a different language. I'm not saying it's about etiquette and shit like that, but all those little subtle signals that he was missing the whole fucking time, and just thought, oh, I got this. I know what I'm doing. Look at this company I built. Look at blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden he just walked in one day, and then it's Julius Caesar with a knife in the back. And you just go, oh, wait, A2 Horatio. Oh, but if you're that kid, like, how are you going to resign from that position? And not to mention there's NDAs and all this kind of stuff, but he could have been like, he very literally could have been a kid who was like bent over the desk with his pants down, getting paddled, going, step down tomorrow. And he's just like, oh, not only have I been shunted off, I've been massively humiliated, and I have no capital here whatsoever. Fuck. God, I guess I'm going to go publicly try and repair my reputation with the people that I can motivate, and to his credit, he's doing a good job, because as you said, he's getting a lot of praise for it. So yeah,
he is. So maybe time will tell a little more, but probably not.
I don't think so.
I wonder what 21 got out of it, and what in the hell is 21 doing other than like trying to vacuum up other people's Bitcoin?
They're either going to salvage or they're going to piecemeal it off, and they're either going to salvage it and try and make it run, or they're going to cannibalize it. But either way, the people that are running it now are going to benefit from it enormously.
Ralph Zaguri sure will.
Yeah.
So big players.
Anyway, 2 hours of Daniel White nattering about a bunch of shit that no one wants to do. Except for John.
You had some fire today. We had some,
how's your hip doing, Johnny? You getting better, man?
yeah. Hope your healing up is going well. Getting around
You
the
running
block a little
marathons
bit.
yet?
Yeah, getting to trotting. Hopefully the recovery is going well for you, Johnny.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Oh, thanks, man.
Thank you, man.
We sure earn it every week and deserve all the applause.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Speed of Fritz for tolerating all my nattering.
That's all we do. Who else do I have to talk about this stuff with in my entire life ever, other than the rare conference or when we get Robin together or something? But still,
oh yeah.
Like this is my weekly catharsis and education. Perspective. Paradigms shall shift. Life and Bitcoin shall roll on.
Nice, man. That's good. That's out.
Oh, good.
That's awesome.
Walking around.
Is it pain free?
Awesome.
I mean,
all by yourself. Yeah, I can only imagine you got pain though. But yeah, don't get old, kids.
Yeah, just say no. All right, should I call it?
Yeah. Let me play your video. Do you know
I got to do a cut down version without my little intro. That's what I got to put out today.
The shorter one. I like the tail end of the one where you talk.
Yeah, that's the one. I just got to get to the tail end. Like I got to cut out the talking, like hey, blah blah blah, me, my fucking stupid face, and just go straight to the ad part. I think I'm gonna cut that. I meant to do that earlier, but
I like this one.
Good. I mean, not mild discomfort, but I'm glad it's mild.
Yeah, a tail end of your little talk, right to the heart of the MicroSeed.
Yeah, exactly.
The MicroSeed Gen 2. Thanks, everyone.
What a beautiful device.
I got my new hammer.
Oh, nice.
Old hammer, new hammer.
I kind of like the old hammer.
I do like the old hammer. It's just so much.
Oh my god, dude.
Bitch and brass hammer.
Yeah, and people overhit with it. They hit too hard when they have that hammer. I feel like this could be quicker.
Pacing wise?
Yeah. It's kind of longish. It needs to be about 30 seconds. Yay!
There we go. Got stickers now too.
Oh yeah, what'd you think of the stickers? That's kind of fun, isn't it?
I like them. Yeah.
Did yours come with the Bull Bitcoin flyer?
No.
Oh yeah, there was a big group that went out without the flyer. There's a bunch going out now with it. So I don't know. Did we sell a MicroSeed today? Sell some MicroSeeds, man. Hey, we did! Yay!
Yay. Someone else took self-custody today.
Yeah.
Or every intent to.
In every intent.
Every intent.
Right. Well, Johnny, I wish you continued healing, and I hope that mild discomfort becomes no discomfort. And I hope you're out, doing the whatever cha-cha-cha.
Yes,
by the end of the
well.
month.
And until next time, everybody, thanks for joining us. All right, bye.